I love when Justin Gathje does an interview. You know how everybody says they love the Diaz brothers? You go, okay, but why do you love the Diaz brothers? And the answer is because they're real. But you hear that, right? You hear that a lot because they're real. I know what that means, and I do get what you mean when you say about the Diaz brothers, but I'm going to use that same expression, put it on Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje's never did an interview that I didn't enjoy. And Justin Gaethje's promoted. He's made big claims. He's called for shots. I've seen all of that stuff, but none of it was gamesmanship. He meant it. It was sincere and it was real. And there's a toughness that comes off with Gaethje even when he talks. I wish that Gaethje did more interviews. But I'm looking at this one. Gaethje weighs in on Islam and Oliveira. Now, that's an interesting spot for Gaethje. On a personal note, it's an interesting spot, not only because he's in that division, but he shares a manager with Islam. I bring that up because I imagine they're at social functions together. I imagine they've shared workout rooms together, possibly even worked out together. I imagine. I don't know this. But Gaethje got in a battle, if you'll recall, with Islam through the media. You guys remember that? It even involved Daniel Cormier. Cormier made a comment and he put over Islam as opposed to Gaethje, and this is when Gaethje's getting ready to fight Chandler at Madison Square Garden. All of a sudden, Gaethje getting ready to deal with Chandler, and publicly he's dealing with Islam, which now involved Cormier. Then Daniel and Gaethje had to go hit golf balls and work the whole thing out. But I mean, do you remember the story? So now Gaethje's doing another interview. He says, I don't want to fight until next year. Now, most guys that don't want to fight until next year are going to piss me off instantly. I'm going to read that and I'm going to get irritated. I'm either going to come over here and I'm going to scold them, or more likely, I'm going to ignore them. As my form of punishment, I'm going to ignore them. But it was different when Gaethje did this interview. Gaethje doesn't just bang his chest and then take his ball and go home. That's what I see many guys do. Oh, I'm great. I'm going to be better than ever. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, by the way, don't even call me for 5 months. I'm not fighting with anybody. Not what Gaethje did. Gaethje made a very interesting point, as a matter of fact. Said, I'm going to fight next year. Now, that's not as far off as you guys might think. If you go look at the calendar and you look how these things are filling up, it seems as though we have room for one more mega match on the December 10th card, which is the last pay-per-view of the year, at least off the top of my head. It seems as though there's room for one more. You could stop the card right where it's at, but I think they're going to try to do something. Okay. So where are you going to put a guy like Gaethje at? That's my point. Yes, that kicks the can until next year, but listen to what Justin said. He said Islam and Charles are going to fight, and the loser is going to have to fight somebody. He was talking about himself. He was talking about whoever gets beat in that fight between these two giants is going to have to fight with somebody else. I would be around. Then he went further and he said Poirier and Chandler are going to fight, and whoever wins that fight is going to have to fight somebody, and he was talking about himself. Now, I'm not really sure that Gaethje's going down the right road. I'm not sure that his matchmaking abilities were quite on par with this comment, but you also sense the sincerity. You sense the toughness. He's not looking for something easy to do. He's not trying to sidestep to get away from anybody. He's got whatever he's got going on in his life, and he's going to take a couple of breaths, get a little breather before he gets in there again. There was just something about it that I appreciated. And when Gaethje weighed in, right, I was telling you that he's in a very interesting situation, whereas he's under the same umbrella, at least management-wise, as Islam. But he didn't come out and just tickle Islam's balls. He's then been in there with Charles Oliveira. And he wasn't looking to be dismissive of Charles. And a lot of guys do. If you have the kind of match with Charles Oliveira that Gaethje had, us, the audience, are very quick to swallow down he got caught. Because it was that kind of a match. It was that kind of a beating that Oliveira put on Justin, where Justin, man, he caught me. And it kind of looked like that. But that's not at all what Gaethje has done now or has ever attempted to do. He's always paid his respects to that competition, to that contest, and to Charles Oliveira. And Gaethje said it's going to be very close. He finally did weigh in. He said it's probably going to go a decision, and he took Islam. But Gaethje, while taking Islam, and Islam, who was a 3-1 favorite, I've heard 6 fighters now from that division, that specific division, 6 155-pounders have weighed in on this fight. Only one has taken Islam officially, and that's Gaethje. This is the first time. That surprises me. Surprised me very much that 5 fighters in that division that have studied have all taken Charles. That surprises me. The fighters, the locker room, the boys that would know are disagreeing 3-1 with bettors. Gaethje saying whoever loses the fight, he'll be given a look to. He then put over the match between Poirier and Chandler. I just think when it comes down to being real, that's an expression. I don't generally talk that way, but when it comes down to being real, I sense it when Gaethje talks. I had a moment with Justin. We shared a moment. I've told you guys about this. So, I knew Justin Gathje way back when. And all that means is before he got to the UFC. Before Gaethje, what do they call him? He's your favorite fighter's favorite fighter. He's the bar when you talk about toughness and grit. Before Gaethje was Gaethje, he was Justin Gathje kicking butt over in the World Series of Fighting, which is now not even called the World Series of Fighting, but prior to that, he was at Northern Colorado, and he was 5th in the NCAA for Division I wrestling. So I followed his career. And I knew him, and I've always had very good moments with him. And there was a point in his career where he was a young guy, and he was looking for some kind of guidance or wisdom, and he thought that I had it, and possibly I passed something on to him one time. So I had this moment with him. We're at the World MMA Awards. I got a bathroom. I'm in the bathroom. I'm headed out. He comes into the bathroom. He sees me. He stops. He says, "Hey, you know back when we were in the World Series fighting together?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, Yeah, I remember that too." So, all right, it's good to see you, Justin. I walked out the door. But he was trying to have a moment with me. It's the thought that counts. And even if it didn't come out of his mouth, he was trying to tell me something polite there. So I'm trying to return the favor and say something polite back.